reality of crime.
Hello, everybody. What's up? I see the Toddy fan crew here, right? Toddy One's with us today. I am Jay with Guilty of Crime, and I'm hosting the Christopher Gregor Will He Respond letter. Another letter from Grandma or Rebecca Micciolo. We have Toddy here, and we have Rebecca. So let's go. Let me bring them on without further ado. I'm giving them the platform. All right, let's go. And we're off. Hello, ladies.
Hey, everybody. Hi, Rebecca. Hey, Jay.
How are you?
Hey, how you doing?
Okay. Happy New Year to everybody.
Happy New Year.
Yeah. Happy New Year. It's another year that we get another chance to do better, right?
Absolutely.
And today we're talking about Corey Mitchell. We want to remember Corey, you guys, because we don't want that to just be something that happened last year. I know Rebecca doesn't feel that way, and I know Toddy doesn't either. I see the effort on your community page that you put into remembering Corey. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
All right, everybody. Thank you. I see your crew here, Toddy. I see Holly Jolly. I see lots of people shouting out to Toddy. She's got a fan crew here. So welcome, everybody. Hit the like button on both channels.
Yeah, appreciate it. Appreciate you guys showing up, and especially what Rebecca's going through, because this has been going on for several years for her, right? Only Christopher only got his sentencing last year, but I mean, this isn't going away for anybody. For you're going through it year after year after year, constant reminders of it, right, Rebecca?
Right.
I mean, truthfully, that's what's going on.
It doesn't end. I mean, for a lot of people, after sentencing, then it was over. But for us, it's never going to be over. A lot of people feel like, I've had people say, why am I allowing Chris to occupy space in my mind? Are you kidding me? He's got the penthouse. He'll always be in my mind. That's not going away, ever. And if you haven't dealt with something like this, I don't expect anyone to understand. So I have to not want to lash out at those that say that to me, because they don't know. They haven't dealt with it. But it doesn't go away. He's always going to live in that penthouse in my head. Never going away.
Right.
I
mean, it may get easier. It may not get easier. We none of us will know. Toddy and I are here for you for sure. We live and breathe this stuff. It might not have happened to me. I don't know what Toddy's life experience is like, but we try to work with victims on a daily basis and try to give them voices. And so I'm here for you, and I might not know what it feels like, but I can feel, when I'm talking to you and seeing you read it and crying, I definitely can feel for you. So, and so can many people. So we're here for you. We might not have lived it, but we understand as much as we can, right?
Unfortunately, I think that you guys know that, unfortunately, you're the second grandmother that I've come across in my life that has dealt with the loss of a grandson. And The first one was Adam Walsh. I was
Mm.
fortunate enough to work with his grandmother, and
Wow.
and because of that, and in the spirit of that, and that was my hometown, Hollywood, Florida, where that happened and everything. And I learned a lot from Gene Walsh. I learned a lot from Adam's grandmother, and about grace, but there wasn't she for the rest of her life. Rebecca, exactly what she went through. I only witnessed it. That hole that doesn't seem to cover up,
Right.
it remains this void. And I know that, you do everything in your power to fill that void in the most positive way. And I know that you're looking for the answer to why. I think if Chris even gave you that answer, there's never going to be an answer that's going to make you sleep better at night. It's just, there's nothing that's going to help you with that. But I think you trying to make him own up to his crime and make him aware that, he shouldn't be sleeping at night is definitely, staying on him and making him feel something, because I'm
Right.
not sure he feels anything at all.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I applaud you for doing this and dedicatedly writing every month a letter, and even if it's just for your own peace, I bet you at some point he will read that. He will get a hold of it. His parents will mention it. Maybe his parents will read it. So it is doing good, and if it's doing good to get that anger or whatever it is that you're filling out, then hey, I support you.
Well, the
Right.
letters are getting to him. You're writing to him snail mail at the hospital, at the prison. Am I correct?
It's actually email
Okay, so
through
it's getting to him. It's like the
through
secure.
JPay. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. So that's getting to him, and it should show if he's received it or not.
It does. It just says delivered, and it tells me that
He got it.
somebody's going to read it, obviously, before they forward it to him. And that's okay. If it's not him, somebody's going to read it, and somebody's going to be watching your show or this show, and they're going to mention it. He's going to know about it. And that is my goal.
Right, absolutely. And he is, the way that it goes there when it's delivered, because I write to I'm not
Nick,
trying to get on the Gypsy Rose thing, but you follow me on that, Rebecca. I
Oh,
I
know.
I
do.
love that.
I
I
do.
can't get enough of that.
And I've written to Nick. Because I'm trying to get him to, try to trust people again. And he doesn't have to respond, but he gets those letters. So I think that what's happening is, he's getting the letters. He's just not giving you your satisfaction, because that's the type of guy that I saw on stand. He's
That's
never been held
exactly.
he's never been held accountable for who he is. And he's not going to give you that I don't think he's going to give you that, Rebecca. I just don't think he's going to. He could be miserable, but I don't think he's going to show that to you. I don't think he wants
No,
to
and
give you
he
that.
he won't give me the satisfaction of a response because he thinks that's hurting me. But really, I'm not looking for him to respond to me. What I'm writing in these letters, all of you may not understand, but he knows what I'm talking about in my letters because we've had this, I don't want to call it a relationship, but this is how Chris and I speak to him in my letters, how he spoke to me in person with no respect. And, like I said, it might not make sense to you, but he knows what I'm getting at and what I'm talking about. And it will bother him whether he's going to let anybody know that it does. And it's going to
Right.
make him mad, and it's going to make him maybe punch the wall or say the wrong thing to somebody and get his ass kicked. And that's what I'm going for. I don't
There
want a
you go.
And me,
response. I don't need a response from him.
There you go.
yeah,
There
and you
you
know
go. And
what?
it
He's
shouldn't
gonna
be.
be there. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
No,
He'll
no,
be
I'm
there for a
sorry.
long time.
Right.
At some point his feelings will change. I mean, let's say he does 18 and a half years of that 25-year sentence, or even 15. Think about 15 years and how much you grow and change, and whether it's just him growing and changing for himself and being more bitter, it's going to affect him every month in a different way.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just think that the
Mhm.
inmates are going to show him a thing or two.
Well,
I'm with you.
I don't want to gossip, but I'm going to share something that I was
Oh, the
told
tea. Come
last
on.
week.
We want gossip. Let's gossip.
You know, I can't say who, but
Of course.
I was told that a corrections officer from Trenton, where Chris is, told this person that Chris begs to stay in protective custody because people are calling him names and torturing him. He comes out for an hour a day by himself and kind of sticks to himself because he's afraid. So that brought me a lot of pleasure.
Remember, that's for the next at least 15 years, right?
Yeah,
Yes, exactly. And you, I mean, we have big smiles on our face because that's the kind of justice that we talk about every day. We don't feel that the justice system always works in the way it should, but sometimes prison justice will catch up. And I've played a video on my channel before where this one guy talked exactly about what may have or probably did happen to Chris already. So I believe it when you say that, and it's not gossip. It's just we can't use
right.
our source, right? So
Exactly.
yes,
But here's the thing as well is that, they can't keep him indefinitely there. So he is going to have to experience what it's like to, not get along with people. You know what I'm saying? And,
Right.
and everybody's shorthanded, including the correctional facilities. So all it takes, honestly, is for somebody just to turn their back for a second, and they didn't see what happened to Christopher Gregor. So again, as we know, and for those that don't know, and I know you're going to talk about this more, which I think is really important, not only does Christopher have that he abused and unalived a child, his son, but he's also involved because he's not on the good side of things in prison anyway, because his dad was a cop.
was
And
right.
so that he's got two targets on his back. So I can, he could beg to stay in solitaire, but they can't keep you there just for, your protection. They'd have to move you into like a protective custody unit, which would still have bad people in it. People that are have targets on their back.
Right.
And there's only so long they're going to keep him in that. No, in the very beginning, they'll do it. I mean, I'm not going to say that they won't do it for a year or two, but after some time, they're going to say, this guy's old news. We don't care what he wants. He needs to go. We don't have any room for, we got to bring in the next batch of people that are XYZ. And I know because I've been studying true crime forever. And I know how these prisons work, the guards, how it all works. So he might be hiding for a little bit, but there's only so long that he's going to be able to hide. And
Right.
like I said, I could imagine him getting those letters. Let's say you keep doing this. And I know how dedicated grandmas are. My mom's like that with my nephew. He was in prison for 5 years, and man, that kid had a stack of mail. She wrote
Hmm.
him, once a week, dedicatedly. Only love of a grandma does that, right? And
Right.
so it's gonna hit him every which way, every time, every year, and hopefully it makes you feel better. Hopefully you can at some point let's turn things around and start changing the laws, Rebecca, or come to us and help me to help other people that are victims and families of victims, help them deal with it, because that's what I want to do.
Right.
And I can't relate to it, but you can. And I wouldn't ask you that now because you're still grieving, but at some point we can turn this thing around and really help people.
Right. That's what I'd like to do.
Right.
And
Eventually.
if you want, Rebecca, I mean, we got quite a few people here.
Yeah.
We could send a few letters his way.
I wish people would
Absolutely.
write to him. I encourage it. Why
You
not?
know, so
Well, let's put
guys,
that address up there. Let's put that address up there, Rebecca. You send me that address, I'll blast it up there.
Yeah, I'll have to get his inmate number and
and
the
people
address.
can
And
look him up, and you said he's in Trenton. He's in which facility? It's
He's
easy
in
for people to look him up.
yeah,
Yeah.
New Jersey State Prison, which is Trenton State. So yeah, you can look him up in the
Christopher Gregor, you guys
NJDOC.
could look him up. Anybody that's bored wants to write a letter and remind him what a POS he is and what he did to his son
Yes.
and what he did to the Micciolo family. Anybody that has some time today, that'd be great. I'll write that letter myself when I go to work tonight. So, not a problem. We could do
Oh,
that.
that's great.
Yeah, absolutely. And once I do get that, I'll look it up. But my community loves my community pages, right? So I'll put it on my community page for them as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll do the
Great.
same.
No, that's great. That's wonderful. I think he should get mail.
Absolutely, you should get mail and
Yeah.
much more.
Yeah. Maybe if he hears it enough, he'll start to believe it.
Well,
Yeah.
at least he'll know that he's not as popular as he thinks he is.
Right. I mean, he does have a few fans out there, but
We could balance that out.
yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
All right. Is there anything else you want? Do you want to read the letter first, or do you want to talk about anything that you want to talk about?
Yeah, I mean, I could read the letter first, and then I want to talk about law enforcement in general. There's a
Right.
few that I don't know. I might say their first names. I might not. It depends, how
Now,
I feel in a few
there
minutes. But
there's a civil suit going on between Brianna Micciolo, Rebecca's daughter, Corey's mom. Is that correct?
yes,
Okay.
it's involving DCP&P, the agency who is there to protect children. And we know how that ended. So, yeah, there is a civil suit filed. It's working its way through the court process now. I don't really have any involvement in that, so I really don't,
Right.
I just know that it's going through the court system now.
Right.
I don't know how long it takes or, what the end result will be. I just hope that everybody involved loses their jobs, their pensions, and suffer. That's all I
Absolutely.
want. I just want
Absolutely.
revenge, and
And I know Brianna can't talk much about it because when you have a civil suit, you don't want to talk in the public and the media about it and then ruin
right,
any chances that you have. So as
right.
long as we're not impeding on anything of that, and you don't know much about it, so then we're good.
No, I just know that it's, against DCP&P as a whole, and then it named Mark, Stacy, Allison, a few of the social workers. I don't know if they're actual social workers. They work for DCP&P. Not sure they probably got their masters the same place where Chris got his. So,
I
I
love the
just I have
start.
pure hate for all of those people involved. They could have prevented this. They know they could have, and they chose not to. So,
Yeah.
yeah, we'll see where that goes. I would like for all of them to never be able to work around children again and to lose their jobs. And I mean, I doubt they would get jail time or anything because Chris did the murder and it didn't get much time. So I can't imagine they're going to get any jail time or anything, but they should be punished. However, I don't know how that would be, but they should be.
Well, it'd be nice if they were at least on some kind of. Well, it'd be nice if they got fired, but on some kind of probationary period where they're really looking at them closely and they look into this particular case because we know what happened in this case and it went right by them. And I don't see how you can get away from that or when people are looking at it so heavily. I'm not really sure, but I do know that DCP&P or DCP, it's like CPS over here. We talked
Yeah.
about it quite a bit with this case, and there's a huge failure to that system because they hire contractors, and the contractors are not background checked. They're not accountable. They don't do drug testing. They do nothing. And these people
Right.
are just using and abusing the system and the money that they get from it without doing their job. So it's broken. It's
Yeah,
broken for sure.
definitely. All
Well, the
over.
worst bit, but I think that, what adds insult to injury, and, I know that you're going to bring this up, Rebecca, is, how the public perceives you and your daughter. Like, that's the worst bit, is that
I know.
you did everything in your power by following the rules of the system, and then yet by people in the public, it's like you didn't do enough. You didn't yell loud enough. You didn't try hard enough. You didn't do. And the only thing that was left for you and Brianna, Corey's mom, to do was to take him and run away.
And we thought
Yep.
about it.
I know
Right.
you did. I know you
And,
did.
you know, we thought, and we said, okay, so if we do this, Corey could never go to school again. I mean, and then people are like, well, now he's dead. So how'd that work out? You know,
It
yeah,
wouldn't have worked out anyway. They would have had you on this national manhunt where they would point the finger at you guys and frankly,
well,
they made Bree look really bad. They made her look like some bad. They would have
oh,
it wouldn't have worked
yeah,
out. That's
yeah.
not even
You
an
know,
option.
the end result would have been they would have gotten caught. Bree would have gotten caught on the run. She would have gotten in trouble.
Hmm.
Corey would have went to Chris anyway, full time, and Brianna wouldn't be around him at all. So I think the end result would have been the same. Maybe the timing would have been different.
I
Could have
think it would
happened
have been
sooner or
worse.
later.
I think it would have been worse. And this is where I think, and this is what I want people to hear.
Thank you.
Had Brianna had done that, the result would have been the same, but Brianna would be living with the fact of, oh my God, I participated in helping this happen. Where
Right,
Brianna did exactly what she was supposed to do. The system failed her. She did not
right,
fail as a mother.
Thank
The
you.
system failed her. And had she have broken the law, that would have made these lines a lot more murky, and she would have had to have lived with that for the rest of her life. And there would have been the blame on your
right.
daughter. This is for
There's
people that are afraid that this could happen to them. So they have to look, instead of finding a failed system that's supposed to be protective of children, they're going to try to find a failed family because it's easier for them. It makes them
right.
feel safer.
There's one viewer, I only know her by the name, it could be a man, I don't know, Cromeland or something they call themselves. This person is riding my ass telling me that, you know, I should feel guilty because I saw the bruises and did nothing. And I just came out and said, well, what the fuck are you talking about? I did nothing. Have you not read the whole story? I made phone calls. I did everything I could except break the law. You
It's a
know,
Chris
I don't
supporter.
know what
It's either
else.
you did nothing wrong. It's a Chris supporter. It's a troll. It's a Chris supporter. Maybe it's their family. Maybe it's a
Right.
girl that thinks Chris is hot. You know, those girls that are mentally messed up in the head. You
Right.
absolutely did nothing. And I hear that all the time. I hear, like, let's say Madeline Soto case, right? People just start blaming every single, she should be arrested. The grandma should be, now I don't always disagree with or agree how they handle things. Like Madeline Soto's grandma sent her home, and after she sent her home, she died. But that is not your fault, not her fault. It's none of your fault. You did everything. And Toddy, I'm glad Toddy's here today because she brings she brings it. She brings the rest of the piece that we need to the passion to
Right.
this. And she's absolutely right. You did nothing wrong.
No. And,
So
you know, everyone has this idea, oh, Bree chose drugs over her child. Okay, well,
no,
I don't know
no, she
where this
didn't.
is coming from. You know, there's so many tales out there. Bree was in rehab, and that's why Chris got custody. Bree never spent a minute in rehab. I could tell you that right now. Bree was never in rehab. I don't know where that came from. Wasn't allowed to talk about it in court. As you know, I didn't even get to go on the stand. I have no idea why. But, you know, none of this came up in court. It was just, you know, you heard what you heard, and that was it. And, you know, that's why I feel the need to do what I'm doing, because we didn't get to say anything. You know, we were quiet the whole time because we were fearful. Oh, if you do this, then you can jeopardize the case. If you do that, you're going to jeopardize the case. So we just sat there like zombies. You know, you couldn't react. You couldn't, you know, and then I sit and think, you know, if I would have made a big scene in the courtroom, the outcome was going to be the same. It wouldn't have mattered. I wish I knew that now, you know, but
Right.
we behaved
Well, you
and
would have been,
followed the law.
yeah. And that's what we do. We're above those people that do those things, and they're never going to see it, and we don't need them to, Rebecca. So you
Right.
guys did just what was right. I appreciate that you guys came and told your truth after, because people did think that Bree like was looking for a family to, this money hungry drug
No.
addict that, and when I saw the whole story, I was like, wow, what a difference
Mm-mm.
that was. Although you didn't need to do that, I appreciate that you guys did clear that
No,
up.
it was just, the Gregors want everyone to believe this other tale, because it makes them look better. And, it's just, it wasn't true. And we just felt the need that we really needed to, we needed to come on and say what we couldn't in court. And, that's why I do what I'm doing now. And, that's why we went on right after sentencing. We wanted to tell people the truth. And like I said, I don't just sit here and tell tales. I have court documents. I can back up anything I say. So everybody's like, oh, you can't get on there and talk about the Gregors. Anything I say, I can back up.
Right.
I'm not just talking shit. I'm speaking the truth. So
Well, it's
Right.
also important too because, I think, all right, we'll say half of the marriages end in divorce, right? So we'll say half of those marriages that end in divorce have children, and half of those are going to be bad divorces. And there's going to be fights, and there's going to be custody, and there's going to be angry ex-partners. And, this is, you're making a bunch of noise because this can happen to anybody. This can
right.
happen to anybody. And you don't want this to happen to anybody. We don't
No,
want this to happen to anybody
no.
else. You know what I'm saying? So, Rebecca, you yell from the top of your lungs because, you're saving people here. That's a big thing.
I hope so. I hope people, if anything, they take away from this the fact that the authorities that are set in place to help you don't always help you. I
That's
hope
correct.
people understand that, because we sat there thinking, well, any day somebody's going to call us and say,
Nope.
okay, his rights are terminated. We kept hoping. Even Corey got to the point where he would say, oh, they can't help me. Nobody's helping me. Nobody's listening. And that's why, as you know, my book, Can You Hear Me Now, is because Corey kept saying nobody hears him, nobody listens. So that's
Okay, take your time. I'm gonna put up the address, you guys. I do have the address. I don't know if that's gonna go really well in chat, but thank you, Bree. Gothic Bree, our mod, sent me the Christopher Gregor, his inmate number, SBI number, and prison address to send him, as well as the inmate mail link. So you guys, I'll put that up in the community page as well, and I'll give all that. So whoever does want to write him and let him know what you think, please do.
yeah, I'd appreciate that.
All right, you want to get into the letter?
Yeah,
Are
sorry.
you ready for that?
I get
Oh, that's okay.
myself worked up a little bit, but yeah, I'm ready. Are you guys ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
Ready when you are.
So it starts out, and just remember, this is how I talk to him, so you guys might not understand it. And if you don't understand something, ask me. So it starts out, well, looks like we both made it to 2025. Did you stay up to watch the ball drop? Not those balls, silly, the one in New York City. Some of you might understand what I'm getting at with that. I was referring to the ones that are slapping him in his chin right now. Anyway, so this is my monthly letter. I do hope someone is enjoying them. I got to ask you something. That guy who came to court a few times, your uncle, your mom's brother, that's your daddy, isn't it? I figured it out. You are shaped like him. You walk like him. That explains why you are the black sheep in the Gregor family. You are not a Gregor. You are the bastard child of your mom's screwed up brother. See, my theory is your uncle finds out he's fathered a child, you. He tells Carolyn and David, and they agreed to take you because they thought they could give you a better home. and a better life than he could. Am I right? Sort of like how David thought trying to take Corey from us was going to be a good thing, and we all know how that ended. I mean, I think I'm right about you not being a Gregor, right? I mean, call me crazy, and you have, but I think I'm right. Do you remember when I gave you the opportunity to walk away from your responsibility? You said no way, and you said you wanted to make us suffer or something like that. Then there was the time you offered me money to give you full custody and give up all rights, and I told you to go fuck yourself. And then there was the time you were told by a judge to deliver Corey to us by 5 p.m. on the same evening as one of the many custody hearings, and you didn't comply. You left the state with him. Remember? We called the police, but they didn't listen. Nobody could or would listen to us. I could reminisce all night, but they only allow me so many words in these emails. I know you will probably live longer than me, or maybe not, but don't worry. When I'm gone, you can Google my name, and I promise you there will be a story about me, about Corey, that you can read if you are missing my monthly letter, and you will learn a lot about yourself and my grandson. Why don't you write back? What else do you have to do? Oh, wait, you're worried that your communication with me could affect your appeal, right? I get it. You know, we were so worried about our behavior during the trial. We thought if we acted inappropriately, it would be the reason you would be sentenced to less time. Well, we did everything right, and you still only got 25 years. I know, easy for me to say, I'm not the one in that filthy cell, but your actions had consequences. You have a master's degree. You should have known you were going to prison. I mean, you did know that, right? Maybe next month we can talk about your attorney, LOL. Have a nice day. And that's it.
Yeah.
So can you just if you don't mind, just for those people that don't know, you know, explain who you were fighting, who you were going up against, that this wasn't just a regular family that was even keeled along with your family, but that there was, you know, explain who David Gregor is, if you don't mind, because there's some people that don't know. I'm looking at the chat and there's people saying I knew nothing about this. So, and even, unfortunately, we're losing kids left and right here. It's hard to remember all these stories, unfortunately.
Right. Well, David Gregor was a retired state trooper.
And that's Christopher's dad. Christopher
Right.
Gregor's
That's
Corey's paternal grandfather. I'm sorry, go
right.
ahead.
And, so Chris was one of those kids who, if something didn't go his way, well, then he was going to tell his dad, and his dad was going to fix it. And listen, I'm going to say all this stuff that I'm saying, and, some people may say that's not true, whatever. I'm allowed to believe what I believe. I know that his father got him out of a lot of trouble because, as you know, in court, Judge Ryan said that Chris had no previous record. Okay, well, he had 2 DUIs. He had a restraining order because of domestic violence. He'd been arrested, when he was teaching 5th grade in Baltimore for dealing marijuana back before it was legal.
People didn't realize he was a teacher either, by the way, and they didn't realize that Brianna, your daughter, was underage when what we call here is graping. He took that from her
Right.
daughter. Corey was not born consensually, you guys, so people forget
Right.
that, and she was not even of age to have consented.
And, he
And
gave her
really important,
alcohol and
what did David Gregor do for 27 years? What was his position? Because that
he
counts. That's a huge
right.
thing in this.
He knew people. He knew all the right people. And, listen, you
He
get
was
your
a
kid out
state
of
trooper. He was
right.
a New Jersey state trooper. I just don't know that everybody knows that. So I just want to make sure that people understand. He was a New Jersey state trooper for 27 years, and when he retired, he worked for Homeland Security. So
Right.
he knew people. And they're
Exactly.
trying to fight to get fairness, it's not a fair playing field.
No, they
Right.
knew people, you know, they they made us out to be, and this is where I'm going to bring law enforcement into it, okay? Our local police department, Jamesburg Police. I was living in Jamesburg at the time. I had a boyfriend. I still have that boyfriend. So what's that tell you? He's not so bad, right? Or I wouldn't have him. I would have kicked him to the curb. This same boyfriend that, you know, bonded with Corey and was like a grandfather to Corey. They played together. They, you know, they had a good relationship. He was not what people made him out to be either. But Jamesburg police had a beef with my boyfriend. I think the reason why the one police officer had an issue with my boyfriend is because his wife, now it's his ex-wife, I think my boyfriend and the ex-wife may or may not have slept together, and I think that officer had a beef with him over that because they were still married at the time or something. But so this particular officer, when I had called them, I don't know if it was the time that Chris slashed my tires or if he was just stalking my apartment and Corey was afraid of him. He could see the car going by and he would get scared. So I called the police. But anyway, every time this particular officer from Jamesburg Police Department would come to my house, he wanted to talk about Richie, my boyfriend. I said, well, I didn't call you about Richie. I called you about, you know, what's going on with my grandson. They didn't want to hear that. Nobody wanted to hear that because when they approached the Gregors, David Gregor being who he is, you know, they did the old handshake, whatever it is, the secret cop
There you
handshake,
go.
I don't know. And that cop gave the Gregors all this dirt and made it seem like, you know, that Richie was this bad guy and Corey shouldn't be around him. They turned everything around and you know, this is what got to DCP&P. And then we started looking like white trash. Like we were just, you know, and I'm like, wait a minute, how is this even, you know, when we called for something, it was something that was being done to us. It wasn't, I didn't go over there and slash tires. Like, why is
Right.
this, you know, but it was I call it the buddy system between the police. I don't know what it's called, but they stick together. I mean,
They do.
you know, and it kept happening. And then it would happen in Monroe Township where Chris and his family lived. We would call the Monroe police and we were looked at like scum. You know, it was, they
No,
wouldn't help. And it didn't matter that it was a child. They took it out on us. You know, they weren't considering Corey. It was, oh,
no, they
those
weren't.
people.
Nobody
And
was considering Corey except for Brianna. And I let me just interject real quick because people don't know this. Brianna was young, a young mother. She needed help. She filed for uh, assistance, and that's what brought Christopher Gregor into Corey's life. She did not do that on purpose. So here's a message to all of you ladies that have children. Now you know, if you don't want them in their life, don't even claim them as a dad. She didn't know. She thought she was doing the right thing. She put Christopher Gregor as the father. It got to him, and they asked for child support to pay back for the funds that they were giving to her for you know, whether it was food stamps or I don't know what they call that stuff, but
it
general
was,
assistance.
actually what happened was,
Thank you, please. It makes me
when
mad.
I am the one who applied for the assistance on behalf of
Okay,
Corey because they were
thank
living
you.
in my home and I was only working 3 days a week and I didn't have the ability to give Corey health insurance, which he needed. So I went to the state of New Jersey to get on New Jersey Family Care. And the social worker there said, oh, you know, they live with you, the mom and Corey. I said, yeah. You only work 3 days a week. These are your pay stubs. I said, yeah. Oh, well, you know, you can get this or you can apply for, you know, I don't know. If you're telling me I can get other benefits for him, of course I'll take the help. You know, I was only working a couple days a week. Yeah, you know, fine. So we did that. And then it got to the part I had to name Brianna as the mother on the application because I was the one applying. And then it
Right.
asked
Thank you
for
for
the
clearing that up.
father. And so
Thank you.
I sat there for a minute and I thought, well, I mean, what are they going to do with this? They just want to know. I don't know. You know, they want to know who the mother and father are. So that's what I
Check
did.
it out.
And then all of a sudden we have paperwork. They're doing a paternity test. They, you know, and that's when everything went bad after that. So it's kind of, you know, everybody had this idea that we were just seeing dollar signs, and, you know, that wasn't the case. Because, you know, I know a lot of people think that the Gregors are this wealthy family, and, you know, that, I mean, I don't think they're doing bad financially. You know, they made a killing when they sold their house in Monroe. They bought it brand new for probably 300,000, sold it for over a million. So yeah, they're probably doing okay. But, you know, we didn't see dollar signs. What, you know, I didn't understand how Corey was conceived just yet. So to me, I thought, well, what could be so bad if he gets to meet his father? He'd met Chris when he was only, you know, he was 2 days old. Chris came to my house, met Corey. Chris had come to my house in Florida and had, you know, seen Corey when Corey was a few months old. Chris knew about Corey anyway. So my thought was, okay, well, what could be so bad? Corey will have a dad, and he'll have a whole set of grandparents, another set of grandparents and family, and what a great world it would be, right? That's
Little
what I'm
did you
thinking.
know.
No
Right.
idea why Brianna had nothing to do with him, didn't want to, you know, I didn't know. We didn't talk about it yet. It wasn't out there yet, you know, and so that's, you know, everybody thinks we were money hungry, and that's not the case. So it wasn't about money and taking advantage of that family or anything. It wasn't about that, you know.
No, it was about a young girl getting general assistance. At getting assistance for having them in the house, and we know how much insurance is. So I didn't even realize it was the insurance that. Now
But
I
basically,
understand.
yeah, because
Yeah,
I was going through a divorce from Brianna's father at the time. So, you know, things weren't good for me. Like I said, I was just living in North Jersey. I just had started a job, was only working 3 days a week. I mean, you know, so to when, you know, Corey and Bree came from Florida back to New Jersey, it was like, oh gosh, what do I do now? You know, it
right.
just kind of, you know, we had,
And it's
while I
no
was,
fault. Yeah, it's no none.
no,
I
and
mean,
I
no
don't,
fault.
Yeah,
You
that's
couldn't.
what kills me is that, you know, and I'm reading the chat and everybody's saying you don't have to explain, you don't have to explain, you don't have to
Right.
explain. And you are really, you do. You really feel like
yeah,
you have
I
to
do,
explain
because
because of how
there's,
you're being criticized and how your
Right.
daughter's being criticized.
right.
And
I
and
feel like I want to explain. I want people to understand that it wasn't
Right.
about getting a paycheck from those people, you know, and even if his family were millionaires, Chris wasn't his money. Even if they, you know what I mean? It was up to him to support the kid. So where was I going to get, you know,
Well,
it's
what it
just a lot of
was,
people.
what the system does is, so if you want help with insurance and he's not trying to help you, they just come after him and they say, hey, since you're not
Right,
paying the child support, we're going to take it from your checks. But that's why they ask who it's coming from. And then that was a mistake. That was a mistake. And I
right,
say that to
but it
anybody
shouldn't be a
that does it.
mistake. That should not be a mistake. You know what I'm
It
saying?
shouldn't
Like
be. It
that
shouldn't
right,
shouldn't
be.
be a
But
mistake. That's what brought, bad people
yes,
into Corey's life. You know what I'm
right,
saying? But having the responsibility of another parent and a whole other set of family that you want to enhance your grandson's
uh,
life, that was no mistake. That was no
right.
well,
mistake.
listen, but if we're going to tell one girl here today that has a baby that doesn't want the family included, don't put the name. You would say that now, right? And
No,
that's the only reason I
I would
call.
say, I would tell the girl to say, you know what, I slept with so many people, I don't remember.
Thank you. Thank
Couldn't
you. And
tell you
that's the
who it
only,
was.
I would
Don't
say that.
know.
And that's the only reason I say that. Not
Yeah,
your
no, no,
fault or
no. I
your
I
mistake,
get it. I
but
get
don't.
it.
Yeah.
But it's too
Yeah.
bad that, I
It
mean, like
is.
Yeah, but
yeah.
I feel the need to explain that because like I said, a lot of people still think it was just dollar signs. We were seeing dollar signs over here. And,
One
a lot
night.
of you might not know this either, but before I got divorced from Brianna's father, we were equal to the Gregors. We were living large. We had it all. We supported Corey with no problems. I didn't need anything from anybody, never asked anybody for anything. It was only because the timing, when Bree came back to New Jersey, I was going through a divorce from Vito. I wasn't working full time, and so then I needed insurance for Corey. So, that's why
Right.
I felt the need to explain it. But before that, we never asked anybody for anything. Vito, we both worked, he supported the family, and we were fine. It was only after my divorce, that
And it's not on you. I mean, you're Brianna's mom, and you were trying to help her and trying to help the situation, and she didn't tell you. And I understand the shame and the guilt of it. I want to answer a question real quick because we covered this in so many different episodes on my channel, Mags. If you do want to know the context a little more, you can go back and watch the go look at the Treadmill case. But Bree was underage. Christopher was older, and he gave her something to drink, and he slipped something in her drink to where she wasn't able to control what she was doing. So it wasn't even a one night stand. He put something in her drink, made her drowsy, and then took it from her. Then she got pregnant. She didn't tell her mom until later. So Rebecca didn't even know that. So not a one night stand, nothing consensual. He came over to her house and took advantage of her, and he shouldn't have even been hanging out with kids. I think she
no,
was what, like 16, and he was like
16.
23 or something.
He was
16 and
21 or
23.
21 or 22 or something.
Yeah,
And
yeah, I
even lying
remember
about
that.
that, the creep, he kept coming back around after it happened because then Bree tells him through her friend that she's pregnant. And he kept coming around to the house. And I caught him out in my backyard one night with Bree and a friend of hers. And I think Bree's
Yes,
younger sister. And I went out there because I like to know who, if I don't know them, I want to know who's at my
right.
house. And I forgot what he said his name was, but he told me he was 18 years old and lived in South Brunswick, New Jersey, not Monroe Township. And I didn't know. And I'm like, oh, okay, but I kind of had this idea that he might be older because just the way he carried himself, he was a little too mature, but then I thought, what do I know?
Yeah, it's hard
And
to tell nowadays.
what I find out later, years later, is that he was coming to my house telling Brianna, you have to get an abortion. You can't have this baby. It's going to ruin my life. My parents are going to disown me, and that's what he was doing there. Had I known that, I would have drug his ass out of my backyard then.
Of
I didn't know what
course.
he was doing there. I had no idea. And, so he
And you
was a
still didn't
liar
know.
way back then,
Yeah.
but, like I said, there's so many people that, when I blame law enforcement, I know there were times like, okay, when he slashed my tires, they said, well, we didn't see him do it. You didn't see him do it.
Right.
I get they can't go arrest somebody just because I think it was him, even though they caught him a block away from my house at 2 a.m. right after it happened. They couldn't prove it was him. And I tried to explain to the officer, I know, I'm not asking you to falsely arrest him. I'm asking you to grab him by his shoulders and say, I don't give a fuck who your father is. Stop torturing these people. That's your kid. Stop. And nobody ever did
Right.
that. I know
No,
they can't arrest people on, I know there has to be guidelines to make an arrest, and maybe it wasn't there because they didn't see him do these things. But if one person would have just said to him, stop what you're doing to these people. We're not going to let you do this. You can't do this. Maybe he would have. If one
it was a
person would have said,
perfect
I don't care
storm.
who your dad is,
It's a
That's the thing.
that's
His
what didn't
dad should have
happen.
been the one doing it. His
Yeah,
dad should have
it
been
didn't
the one
happen.
doing it, because
Thank you,
when you're
Jojo.
talking about it, you're really talking about a father figure, grabbing him by the shoulder and saying, hey, you can't do this. But he didn't have that. He didn't have
No.
that, and
And
look
I
at how
think
that worked out.
this is only a thought. I have no proof of this, but I think David Gregor orchestrated the move to Barnegat. He wanted to get Chris as far away from Brianna as he could, thinking that Bree would just let them have Corey and give up and not, keep up with her parenting time. And I think he did that because he figured, well, let me get him out of here because he's doing all this stuff. If he's further away, maybe, this is my thought. I don't know this to be true, but this is what I think. Because Chris had no job when he moved to Barnegat. Who do you think funded that move and paid for his apartment and everything? So I think that was David trying to move him away. And maybe he thought that, I don't know, that we would go away or something. I don't know. I don't know what he was thinking, but
Well, at
you
least to
know,
make things a little bit more difficult.
Right. And that's what I'm thinking. He thought maybe, Bree would just say, oh, I can't do this. I can't go to Barnegat for my, 3 days a week, whatever. And, what happened was Bree ended up quitting her job and going there. A lot of people don't know this either. And in order to be with Corey and protect him, she would stay there at
I was
his
going to say
Chris's
that too.
apartment.
He
And
wanted to be with her. He came on to her and she said no,
well,
and that pissed him off even more.
he would get mad at her if she refused
Yeah,
his advances, and then he would take it, you
exactly.
have to go home now. You can't stay now because you won't sleep with
Yep,
me.
yep.
And he would
People
take
don't
it
know
out on
that
Corey.
either.
And nobody knows what my daughter went through those months prior to Corey's death. Nobody knows what she had to do to try to protect him. Nobody knows that story. I don't even think Brianna has talked about it because it's hurtful. It's, I don't think she's even really told anybody about those times. I mean, she had to do a lot of things in order to be able to stay there. And like I said,
Yeah,
when she didn't do the right thing, what Chris wanted, he would send her home. And then
she
she'd be so worried about what's he
worried
going to do to
about
Corey tonight?
Corey. She did
It's
tell us
just,
a little bit about that, and I was blown away by it because he acted like us. He acted so much like I'm a good father. My grandparents were such good people, and knowing behind the scenes, that's what he was doing to her, and
yeah,
basically making her kind of like beg to stick around. And if she didn't do what he liked, then he was like getting rid of her. I mean, she put herself out there to protect her son Corey, and I think she did the best she could do. I didn't know that she stayed the night over there. She did
yeah,
tell us that she didn't want to
yeah.
do anything with him, but she did it to protect Corey, and it didn't protect Corey.
No, I mean,
It wasn't
it
enough.
just, no,
It
it's
wasn't her
just,
fault, but it wasn't. Yeah,
no, I know. And it's just a lot of people don't know that part of the story. And, um, another situation with law enforcement, the funeral home where we had Corey, laid to rest there, the viewing and funeral, Lester's Funeral Home in Jamesburg, New Jersey. Dave Lester, retired police officer from Jamesburg. Okay. I think he was the chief when he retired. Um, my family, friends, relatives, we've all had our funerals at Lester's Funeral Home in Jamesburg, New Jersey. Dave Lester, retired cop. We went there. We were making the arrangements for Corey. It was a very difficult time. They asked if there was, I guess, any special instructions. And the only thing Brianna asked was, do not let that family come to this funeral. We don't want them here. Dave Lester's reply was, I'll have police here. I can do that, being that he was retired police officer in the town where the funeral home is. And wouldn't you know that Dave Lester and David Gregor did that good old boy handshake behind the scenes. And guess who had a viewing before us? And guess who got to have a private graveside service after us? The Gregors. And, this is another instance where I feel like law enforcement fucked us, literally.
it's a good old boys.
Yeah,
It's a
he
good
didn't
old
have
boys
to
club.
do that. He was told not to do that. There was no proof that this family was even related to Corey. Chris isn't on his birth certificate. How did Dave Lester know that the Gregors should be there or not be? He was told not to have them there. He knew the circumstances, and yet he let them come
Yeah.
in. As a matter of fact, the day, Dave Lester told me that he would be the one to pick Corey's body up at the hospital, and he would talk to him all the way home. And he had done the same with my brother. When my brother passed away, Dave Lester was the funeral director that went to the hospital and picked up my brother. And he said he talked to my brother Bruce all the way home and even played the music that Bruce would listen to on the ride home from the hospital to the funeral home. So, I felt confident that Dave Lester was picking Corey up, and he brought him back. And, I know they had to prepare him for the service. So I said, the next day I said, can we just come and see Corey? We didn't get to see him at the hospital because once Corey passed, he was evidence and we weren't allowed to go see him. So I asked Dave Lester, can we come down to the funeral home? And he wouldn't. He said, oh, I don't think it's a good idea, Becky. I don't think you should. That's because the Gregors were there having their viewing. That's why he wouldn't let us come there that night. And we had to wait until the next day. I just think that's so wrong.
It's absolutely wrong. Absolutely wrong.
It's just, I mean, I see, obituaries every day for Tom Jones. Can I go there and ask Dave Lester? I want a private viewing of Tom Jones. Who the hell are
No.
you? It's just unheard of. He did it because of who David Gregor was and his position of being a retired officer as well. That's why he did it, and it's not right. And
Well,
you
that
know,
plays a
I
huge part.
yeah, I have. There's just so many instances where law enforcement didn't do the right thing, and they could have. And there's nothing I can do about it, but I can talk about it. And
Absolutely, you
that's all
can.
I can do.
And I know nothing that happens with the civil suit is going to bring Corey back or help you or help Bree, but I hope that something happens in a way that exposes that whoever it is that she's suing. I don't know if it's the police officers, if it's the court systems. I know the judge saw the video of the treadmill before,
Well,
like a week before.
I'm being told now that the judge did not get that video. He got a report from DCP&P, but not the video. I don't know if that's true because nobody will talk to me and tell me
Of
if,
course, of
you know.
course.
So we actually, the day after Corey passed away, we had a court hearing in family court based on Brianna's emergent order. And Bree and I showed up for the court hearing, and the judge wouldn't let us. The court officer came out and asked, who they want your paperwork for what court hearing. She went back in and came out and wouldn't let us go in the courtroom. This matter's been whatever. And I'm like, but we want to talk to the judge. He's the one that denied the order. He's the reason my grandson's not here. And we weren't allowed to go in there and talk to him because we wanted to ask him, like, why did you think that Corey wasn't in harm's way? Did you not see that video? But we never got to ask him. And I believe we were told that the judge did not get that video. He only got a written report from the caseworker, not the video. I don't know how true that is.
Well, more's going to come out as the case progresses of the civil suit. So, in the meantime, I say please keep writing the letters. Let's keep on. I'm here to help if you need any help with your book. I think the book in itself can be a book at some point with, letters to Christopher Gregor and how your letters change over time, because they will. They'll change and change and change again. But anything that I can do to help you to get this out and support you, I did put up on the community page for Christopher Gregor for anyone to write him and tell him especially now that you heard this story, you guys, say whatever you want to him, please. But, we're here to support you. And I'm glad you're getting this out to everybody. I just feel so bad, like dredging it up. I hope I'm not.
No, I talk about it to anybody that will listen to me at this point.
Right.
We have the Facebook group, but it's kind of, I guess we got Justice for Corey, so the group's not real active. So I don't have all of those members, to talk to, or, that's
Right.
not the platform to get on there and do what we're doing today. I don't think the Justice for Corey page is the place to do that.
Right.
So
Understood.
I really have no outlet. This is it.
Right.
This is the way I can, I guess, be heard. There's no other way right now. So, and, writing the book is going to help, hopefully, get people to have a better understanding. There'll be more in the book than
And
what I
spread
tell
the
you
hugs.
here,
Right.
I don't
And
know.
it's good to get it out. It will change. If we look back at this a year from now, you're going to say, oh, wow, that was what I was feeling and how I processed and grieving. And that's what you're still doing, in my opinion. So,
Yeah.
Maddie, there's a lot of people in this community that are there for you as well. Olivia says you could message me. You can always message me, Mama Micciolo. And there's so many people in here that
No, I
support
know,
you.
but I just, I sometimes hesitate because I feel like we took up so much of, Maddie and Carrie Ann, we took up almost 4 years of their lives, they devoted to justice for Corey. So I feel kind of guilty reaching out to them, and, maybe they want to put it in the past, or, I sometimes think like maybe they want to move on, and I feel kind of not right reaching out to them. So,
Well, there's never
Well,
any moving on from Corey. Go ahead.
well, when I met Gene Walsh, I was, God, I want to say 19 years old, and I'm 61. And that meeting has stayed with me. That never went anywhere. It has grown into things like this. You see what I'm saying? Like,
right.
I'm always gonna talk about kids and help kids, and it's because of that. So, if somebody doesn't want to help you, let them say that they're too busy or that they can't do it right now, because I don't think I never got over Adam's death. I never
Right.
got past that. I don't think, just even if I didn't meet Gene Walsh, the fact that I went through that as a community with my hometown,
Right.
you don't get past that. So please, reach out, and please,
Yeah.
never feel like you're taking up any of my time in something,
Yeah,
please,
I'm open to you. You have my number. You can text me my emails. You can blast me, and I'm
No,
here. And
I
yeah, I mean,
appreciate that.
look at Gene Walsh and John Walsh. John Walsh created this justice for America with America's Most Wanted. That's what drove him for all those years to help so many people. So if it's going to drive you to write a book or to come to me or to come to Toddy or to help the community in any way. And at some
Right.
point, we might be calling you and saying, Rebecca, I've got this other person that's really grieving the situation. Maybe you can talk to her better than anyone else could.
Yeah,
That,
we just had another grandmother. I guess she's a member in the group. It's not someone that I spoke to often, but her granddaughter Octavia, I think was her name. Um, I don't know the whole story because I'm so wrapped up in my own. Unfortunately, I don't know her whole story, but I do know that last week this grandma was traveling to, I believe, Indiana to go to trial against the person responsible for, you know, killing her granddaughter. And so I just put a post on Justice for Corey, just telling the members, pray for this grandma, and just giving her some words of encouragement. If that was all I could do at the time, I thought, well, you know what? Sometimes that helped me a lot, going on Facebook and seeing all these people saying nice things. So, I mean, if right
right,
now that's all I can do to help somebody, then, that's what I'm going to do. But like I said, this is happening every day, all over the world. It's, there's going to be so many more Corys, unfortunately, that this is going to happen to.
right.
That's where, unfortunately, your expertise comes in.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Uh,
I think,
I think I covered everything. I ripped everybody I wanted to talk about. I didn't reveal the names of the police officers in Jamesburg, except Dave Lester, who owns Lester's Funeral Home in Jamesburg, New Jersey. I just want to get that out there. I believe they were just bought out by a big corporate whatever or something. So maybe the Lesters are retiring. But I didn't name the other officers because I don't know if they're still police officers and I have to drive through that town. And I don't want to, get pulled over,
yeah.
and because that's happened in Monroe with us. So
Yeah.
I don't want to do that again, but they'll
Well,
be named in the book.
There you
there
go.
you go. Put
Yeah.
it there. Let's get that. Let's get that out there. Keep
Yeah.
writing. There's so many people in chat today. At one point, we had 230 people. We're at 213, but people are coming in and out, and they support you. So I have
Good.
a community page. If you ever want to post anything, or you need, you want to post your email, whatever you want, I'm here. I'm sure Toddy is. That's why we're both here today, and lots of people in chat that are supporting you right now and say they will. So
Thank
we
you.
appreciate you.
And I appreciate all of you and everyone that takes a minute to listen. And hopefully they know somebody, they tell the story, and, we just keep getting it out there, so this doesn't happen to somebody else. I don't wish this on anybody. It goes, I could be having a great day and then all of a sudden, I don't know, like it clicks. Oh shit, Corey's gone. And then your day goes to hell after that. It doesn't go away. You can feel good and
Right.
great for a minute, but then,
Yes.
creeps back up into your head again. And it just does not go away. And I don't wish that on anybody.
And
It's just,
that being said, yeah, we're going to make sure that we circulate this, get it out there. If I can, I mean, I can post it on the Justice for Corey page. People do like following the updates and what's happening and what's going on with you, and they want to
right.
watch us see it and share it. So you guys do me a favor on both sides. For those of you that are on Tottie's channel, please hit the like button on her channel. Please hit the like button on mine. And then when this is over, share it with your community, watch it again, share it with whoever, that so it gets out there and they can get back to that family, because these do get back to their families. Trust me, they do.
Yeah. Well, I'm certain that, somebody that knows them is in Justice for Corey, and they're watching what you and what
Right.
Toddy put out there. People are
They
watching that know
do.
them. And that's why I want to do it. I want them to feel uncomfortable when they have to listen to this, because I'm very uncomfortable all the time. I want them to feel that way, and that's my goal, just to give them a little bit of discomfort,
Well, let's
nothing
all give
else.
them discomfort, you guys. First, we're going to send prayers to you. Everybody in chat sends prayers to you, Rebecca. Nothing but good vibes, and then let's make him uncomfortable, you guys. Definitely rest in peace, Corey. And we're here for you, Rebecca. I mean it. You have, like I said, you can reach
Yeah.
out to me anytime. And my girls, all my mods are just so wonderful, and they're there for you as well.
Thank
So
you.
thank you.
I just want to mention February's letter to Chris is going to be one of the, it's going to be an intense letter. It will be graphic because there's also going to be, you can send photos, and I intend to. There's only 2 known photos of Chris with Corey, and I think you guys saw the one, and that was when
I
Corey was
did.
gray and about an hour away from death. I'm just going to
I
send it to him
did.
in case he wants to hang it up in his cell and look at it.
Yeah.
Maybe he can print it out and hang it up and look at
Well,
what
there's
he's done.
also here's what's important, guys. So Chris just doesn't get his letters, so his letters get screened before he gets it. So the more stuff that we put in the letters, like maybe what happened to Brianna and all that, it just gives people more reason to like pop him in the head as he's like walking down the corridors. So anything we can add to
Or
the letters, that's true. That we don't need to lie, because there's
No,
plenty
we
that he's
don't.
done. There's plenty
no.
that he's done. So just remember, in the letters that you write, somebody else is reading them too, and it's just more encouragement to pop them in the head.
Right. And I
And the
just want to
guards do.
say, I
Guards do that.
they do, and they can leave a door unlocked, or
Yep.
forget that he was in the shower unattended, and he could slip on a bar of soap or something, break his neck. Anything could happen. I just want to say, I'm not encouraging anyone to send hate mail or threats or anything like that.
Yeah, don't do
Just
that
your
anyway, because you guys will get in trouble for real. They
right.
know where these letters
Just
are coming from.
just right from your heart, what you're feeling, how Corey's death and the story affected you. That's all. You can tell him what a
Yeah.
scumbag you think he is, and what, that you hope he gets what he gave, but I'm just telling, I don't want people to think I'm asking
No.
them to, threaten him or do any, that's
Right,
not
right.
All
my
they have
goal.
to all they have to do is say the truth, and that hurts enough. Like Cat H says, truth hurts, and what
Yeah.
he did and what his parents did and how they handle it, it hurts. And those parents too are gonna live with that every single day, even if they are narcissistic, whatever, awful people. they're going to live with that. And when they're on their deathbed, they're going to remember that. They're going to know it. They're going to know what they did to you and your family and to Corey and to Bree.
Yeah,
So that's
I hope
that's
so.
how I get through my days when people do things to me. I don't respond. I'm learning how to respond, but what I do is let them deal with their karma. It's not easy, but
No.
that's that's my advice.
Yeah, no, I hope that they are suffering in some way. I don't think it will ever compare to how we feel. But
Right,
I sit and wish bad health on them. And I know that's terrible, but I'm like, I just somehow just to pay them back, for what they did to us. They could have prevented this, David and Carolyn, and I don't care, sue me if they think I'm wrong, but it's just my opinion. I think as Chris's parents, they could have said to him, you can't do this. This is not right. And we're going to take control of this child if you can't, you know, do it. But they
well,
didn't.
they didn't. He abused Christopher, from what we understand. Right, he was an officer that was really mean and abusive, probably, in my opinion.
Yeah, I
But
mean, I heard stories about David Gregor going onto the football field or baseball and dragging them off his kids by the ear if they didn't do the right thing in front of everybody. I never saw this happen. I didn't play baseball or
right,
football with them or anything, but this is things that we heard, that the father was very, very hard. And that goes back to my theory that Chris is the bastard child of Carolyn's brother, because I feel like he was even harder on him because he was the misfit. He wasn't their kid. Now, that's
right.
just my opinion. You guys know that. I'm not saying that's the truth. But if you see the picture of this uncle that I'm talking about, him and Chris could be twins. And I don't know. I'm pretty convinced that my theory is
Yeah.
right. But in my mind, that would make sense why, maybe they were harder on Chris, because he wasn't their kid. I don't know. I could be wrong. He could have,
Right.
just been a fuck up and they knew it or whatever. But I have my
Well,
theory, and,
he's the
until
he's
somebody
the
tells me otherwise, then I'm sticking to it. That's what I
he's
believe.
the and he's the son in prison now that they have to send commissary to, answer phone calls, and they probably don't go and even visit him because they don't seem like the kind of parents that are very supportive.
Can you imagine those two people, those stiff
No,
people sitting in the cafeteria with all the other inmates and rubbing elbows
no,
with them for a visit? It's scary. It's
that is
intimidating. I
that's
can't
why I said
imagine.
I can't either. If they went once for show, to show that they care. But I'm telling you, those people aren't answering phone calls and going to visit. They might be doing commissary out of guilt, but that's about
I'm
it.
sure they're
Well,
doing that.
he's not going to be popular because he's an ex-cop. He's
Yeah.
not going to
Well,
be
and
Yes,
popular in there at all.
I
that
also
too.
think because of Chris being in protective custody, I guess he doesn't get the visits with other people. So maybe he doesn't even have in person. And they live in North Carolina. So I doubt they're coming up here for a weekly visit. I don't know. Maybe
Doubt
I
it.
don't think so.
Well,
But
they have things now that they can do those video calls like
yeah,
FaceTime and stuff like that, which
yeah,
I when I worked in the jail system, they didn't have that. So, this is all just that's all new to me.
yeah.
That's a little too comfortable for me, to be honest with you, listening to some of these phone calls from prison when it comes to they have a lot of freedom and stuff. But his protective custody, it's four walls and a concrete floor and a silver toilet in the middle of it all. It is
Right,
not it's not a Hilton, it's not. And he's gonna, whatever's in his cell is restricted,
Yeah,
very restricted to what he has. So, and he's not the type of guy that probably likes himself very much. So, find some comfort that he's in there alone, with
right.
his own sick thoughts and everything, you know.
So
exactly.
I don't know if I brought this up in the past, but I'm not a good person to go on YouTube and stuff. I don't know what I'm looking at half the time. But I don't know who it is, but they have phone calls they're listening to Wade Wilson is, I don't know why I'm so fascinated by that story, probably because he's a freak show. I don't know, but somebody is playing his jail calls. How do you get that? Like, I don't know
So
how that happens.
so you'd get a FOIA, it's a Freedom of Information Act, and
Act.
you would get those. You could reach out to phone calls from prison, and I'm sure that they would tell you, explain the situation, and I bet you that they would tell you how to go about doing that. And I'm sure you could look it up as well. That you want the prison phone calls or the jail phone calls that he's gotten.
If they're if they're available. So
Yeah.
some people don't get them because that particular state doesn't allow it.
Yeah,
That
so you
system
have
doesn't
to check
allow.
and make sure. And
Yeah.
these phone calls, from Wade Wilson aren't from
Yep.
prison yet. They're from jail.
Oh,
So
that was when he was still like in county or
when
whatever.
he was in jail,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
because he
So
didn't get moved, if you look, those phone calls came in August. He hadn't moved yet.
Right. Okay.
So
That makes sense.
so I would look that up online. And are you able to get those phone calls? Are they just jail phone calls? Can you get prison phone calls? And I got news for you. I really think, I'm just going to put it out there. I know that we're at the end of this. I would really consider, Rebecca, and this is on you. I think that you would do great on YouTube telling your story and talking about others and having from, the victim's point of view. I mean, it would be hard, but I think that you'd be able to help so many people. You don't have to do
Yeah.
it now. Put it in your
I
back,
agree.
because I don't see where anybody else is like doing that. And I think you helping other victims would certainly help you heal.
Right.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
if you need help with that, as far as starting a channel and what to do and stuff like that, I'm more than happy to help you and give you, the best
thank you.
advice I could give you.
Thank
Right.
you.
Yeah, we're all here for you, Rebecca, no matter what you need. But yeah, I
Thank
agree
you.
with that.
I appreciate that. I can't think of anything that we haven't covered. I hope I answered questions that people might have had prior to watching this. Like I said, that Cromaland or whatever, I don't know, male, female, they seem to have this idea that I should have guilt and I could have done more and Bree could have done more. And I just invited them to watch this because they'd made a comment. I guess you would put up I don't know if you call it a preview of this show. And that's
Yeah.
where the person had made the comment and I responded
Oh,
and said,
wow.
watch the live, and it'll answer any of the questions you have. So I hope Cromaland or whatever they call themselves is watching today. And if not, they can reach me at RebeccaMicciolo3@gmail if they have any questions, because I will gladly sit down and answer anything that Cromaland might want to ask me.
Well,
Just
thank you.
saying.
I didn't see that comment. I would have addressed it, but it's been a crazy week. So, yeah, there you go. You said it. There's her email address if anybody wants to address her themselves. And sometimes it's not even worth your time, but right now, you wanting to address it, then it's worth your time.
Yeah.
Eventually, he'll say, I'm going to
I
help
have a
this
lot
other
of
person.
time. That time is something I have an abundance of. So, yeah, I'll answer any email I get. Trust me, they
Right.
might not want me to, but I will. Got
Right.
nothing else to do.
Right, you guys. Then I will let everybody get going on their Saturday. If there's nothing else, Toddy, Rebecca, everybody in chat, we appreciate you. Everybody was so respectful. Thank you, Toddy, for spending the time with us.
Not a problem. Thanks for inviting me. Thanks for having me. Always great to see you, Jay. And how are you with how are you with the fires?
Everybody's asking that, and thank God I'm in Northern California. I'm in San Jose, so I'm about 7 hours from the fires.
Wow.
I do have family that lives in LA. That's where I grew up, was in Los Angeles, but none of them are directly affected by those. So yeah, I mean, prayers and everybody, you guys, prayers to everybody that is close or has family. I mean, it's awful. I've been in that situation. We let me just quickly tell you. So just this morning I got an email from a happy camper. I was showing my RV And people like, I got my roof done. You kind of know about my roof falling in 10 months ago. We're still working on getting that fixed. So I was showing my crew, hey, my RV, here's my house. And somebody sends me a nasty letter about, you have too much money already and you're asking for donations, right? Well, funny story is the reason I got my RV is because our other RV burned down in the Napa fires. Go figure. Do you
Goodness.
remember the Napa fires back in I don't even know. It was Northern California fires in Napa back in 20, maybe 15. Well, all my stuff burned down in Napa. And so we ended up with this RV. So you guys, before you guys know a whole story about something, watch what you say.
Right. Do your homework.
Yeah, do your homework before you insult people like Rebecca, like Toddy,
Right.
like me. I'm sure Toddy, as a platform, having a big platform, you get haters too. And I'm sure you
No, I
hopefully
don't
block
get
them out.
any.
Yeah,
I
we
don't get
just did
any
a
of
show
those.
about that yesterday, didn't we, Toddy? I think I watched
You don't
something.
you get zero haters, Toddy? What?
No, nobody hates me.
Yeah.
Well, you're in the 1% then, but
I'm being so facetious here.
of course you are, of course.
Yeah.
But yes, prayers to everybody that is in California, all your families. We love you guys. Thank you, Rebecca. I'm here. Toddy's here. We're all
Thank
here.
you.
And on that note, we'll get out
All
of
right,
here.
guys. All right, guys.
Justice
Thank
for
you.
Corey.
Thanks for having me.
Thank
all right, Rebecca,
you.
take care.
Good night,
Yeah.
everyone.
Okay. All right,
We'll
bye.
talk soon. February.
Take care, guys. All right,
Bye-bye, guys. Bye. All right, guys. You guys are dropping out like flies. Thank you, everyone that was here today. Thank you all for the support. Thank you for joining the channel. If you just joined the channel, thank you for the memberships you gifted. Thank you, JoJo. Text me and I'll get you over. You know how we do around here. So thank you guys. Yeah, Marilyn says, never complain, never explain. Great motto. Absolutely. It was just such a good thing to talk about the fires and talk about how the fires affected me in Napa and burnt all my stuff down. So luckily, I'm not getting the fires now in LA because I'm 7 hours away. But Kathy Hanna says, Jay, what's your channel? Kathy, the simplest answer is just guilty of crime. If you go to YouTube and type in @guilty of crime, you'll find yours truly, Jay. Thank you guys. We gifted some memberships today. I think we did an awesome job supporting Rebecca, and that's what we're here for, you guys. So I love each and every single one of you. I can't wait to see you guys again on Monday. All right. Have a great weekend. Love you. And go to my community page and get Christopher Gregor's, get his email or get his address. All right. You guys also can write him as well. You can write him through the prison system. Thank you guys. Love you. And good night. Goodbye. Thank you, JoJo. Look at JoJo. JoJo just rained on everybody. Thank you again for the 5 Guilty of Crime memberships. YouTube has not been good to me and letting me. Yeah, my pen is already on paper, says Leanne. Thank you so much, JoJo, and all the mods today. That's for you, Jamie. That's for you. Love you guys. Goodbye.
Guilty of crime.
I want to thank you for watching. If you enjoyed my content, please share this video, like, and subscribe. You can also follow me over at Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, or Gmail. If you'd like to donate to my channel, you can use Cash App or Venmo or PayPal. Thank you very much in advance. Guilty of crime.
Are you guilty of crime?